There was a night, not too long ago, I remember when the famous vampire and his vampire consort came down, and he had to interview with a vampire.
Going in, pulling people into
Well,
it.
vampires like into free sex and libertines and are bisexual and like do everything. Is it sort of like that? Is it
no, I've seen
complete
It
sensuality?
runs the same gamut.
The satin and the velvets and the, you know, all that. Is that what it is?
No, it runs the same. We have the same cross section of sexuality that you see in you know in normal people.
So it doesn't include any wild orgies or anything like that?
I've seen normal people throw wild orgies.
Oh, there have been orgies.
Well, like I said, I've seen normal people throw wild orgies.
Normal people.
Who aren't like you know, vampires.
Been to orgies, but they weren't vampire orgies.
No, but yeah, something like that. But
so vampires socialize with other folks.
Vampire social. I mean, I've seen people. I mean, like I said, it runs the gamut of what you see in modern day culture of you know normal non-vampiric types. You see people who are. I've seen two vampires who are married and very monogamous and into themselves, and you know don't open their bedroom doors to anybody else. And I've seen you know people who are you know bisexual, asexual, don't have sex, believe purely in. All of their physical and emotional and psychological and spiritual needs are purely satiated through psychic vampirism and blood feeding, and they don't desire anything else, and they don't partake in any sexual practices whatsoever. And then I've seen people who have you know several partners, but they're very let's say like a possessive over their partners, and it's like a small, very close-knit family or circle, and there's a high level of respect for each other amongst them. And I've seen where there's a certain chance for manipulation, you know, within that too, and people who are just, you know,
is the vampire community made up of warm, friendly folk who will who will take you in and be kind to you?
Yes.
Is that right? So, what of the cold and almost cruel facade of the vampire? Where does that fit in? If you say that, you know, the guts. Those are the guts.
No, it's very. They're actually. I mean, as in any group or clique, there's you know people once you get to know that group and you're in with them or friends with them, you know they are very nice and everybody's you know nice to each other pretty much. But, you know, there are just some very close-knit groups that, you know, they're not just going to, like, let anybody in their group. They have to prove that that person is cool enough or fits their standards to hang out with them.
What about AIDS, for example? I mean, when you're talking about blood exchanging bodily fluids.
Well, if I could just touch on the other question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What I've seen among our own culture and society is a lack of understanding for each other, first and foremost, that I think we have to overcome. I've been able to identify at least 7 or 8 different types of people who consider themselves vampires.
Okay, can you name them?
Sure, there's like...
I mean to put you on the spot.
Okay. Well, I'll get to that in a second. And what I've seen is that there's been a... recently and in the past, there's been a general lack of understanding amongst all of the other groups.
I see.
Or factions or whatever, of what each of their beliefs and understandings, that refuse to understand them, or, you know, to say, well, I'm the vampire, you're not the vampire, you're a poser, you don't... You know, if you're not like me, you're like this, and a lot of petty bickering, which I've...
Discordians will say, I'm more Discordian than you.
Right, I'm more vampire than you, or, you know, that really isn't true vampirism. Right. And it's like I said at the outset, true vampirism doesn't exist. Okay. It's really, you know, only what we accept of it and bring it into our modern day vocabulary. And you know what is a vampire now? When you come to that question, yes. you have to be very, very open-minded and explore all the avenues and find and see the people that are falling into these different categories who are considering themselves vampire. And what I've started to do with my organization is, and have made some, I would consider fairly major strides in the past few weeks, is